I took a weekend trip to Boston from New York, and today I am returning to New York. Let me tell you about my experience using FlixBus. But before I do, let's go over the options that I could have used. One, I could have flown. And to consider, flying to Boston and back to New York would be the cost, and also not only the cost of the airline ticket, but also the cost to be able to get to and from the airport. That would have been the quickest option. Two would have been to be able to take a train. When I looked at it, for the time that I was leaving and going back, it was more or less the same amount of time. It really didn't save me much time, and it was more expensive than taking the bus. Three, I could have driven myself. That is gas, that is tolls, that is the cost of parking at the hotel where I'm at. And so all of those prices had to be considered, and it would not be the cheapest option either. So here we have it for the bus. And it was the cheapest option. It cost me $87.25. The 87.25 is round trip ticket, and I decided to pick my specific seat. How do you book it? Very easy. You can either download the app or you can book it through the website. They allow you to have one carry-on bag and one stored bag as well. I don't know if they really are really strict with that. I didn't really see anybody looking to see what people were bringing on the bus and putting it underneath the bus, but on the boarding pass, that is what it says. How was my experience on the bus? I was supposed to get to Boston, leaving from New York from 12 at 4:30. I didn't get to Boston until around 6 p.m. Now, I didn't have anything specific planned that evening, but know that if you have something that you have planned, make sure you get on an earlier bus. Why? You cannot determine what the traffic is going to look like. That 4.5 hours is kind of like a scheduled time or rough estimate if the traffic is good. If there's an accident or something of that nature, it will not get there at the designated time based upon what FlixBus says. How was the seats? I'm 6 feet tall. The seats were not the most comfortable. I am so glad nobody was next to me going to Boston, and I'm hoping nobody's going to be next to me coming back from Boston. It was not comfortable. My knee was right on the seat in front of me. I thought it would have been more comfortable than it was, but it was not. And so if you're an individual that is tall, that may have some issues with this, maybe choose another option, or hopefully you pick your seat and nobody's next to you, and maybe you could adjust or put your leg in the aisle like I did so that you could kind of have a little bit more space. So based upon those things, not the most comfortable, it is the cheapest, but at the same time, it got there late. So you can kind of make some changes, and if you can, try to get on an earlier bus. But it was a long time being in a bus, sitting down and not being comfortable. So my last resort going forward would be to take the FlixBus. It's not the most comfortable, so I would only use it for shorter durations, not a long trip like to Boston that took me more than 5 hours to get there. Even though the cost was good, I would then try to do the train. Hopefully, if you book it far enough in advance, you would get a better deal on it. And I will see how that is and how comfortable it is compared to going on a bus. And not only that, I'm thinking because there's not congestion, that it would be closer to the scheduled time than taking a bus. I hope this video helps you before determining whether or not to use FlixBus. Can you do me a favor? Can you like, comment, and subscribe? Click on the notification bell to be informed of future posts. It will greatly help my channel. And for those returning subscribers, thank you so much for supporting the way that you do. And until next time, happy travels.